Milling Through History presents Exploring the World Through Writing. The National Geographic magazine is one of the most well-known and well-recognized publications throughout the entire world. The organization itself is one of the largest nonprofit scientific and educational organizations, and with its headquarters found in Washington, D.C., this organization is so unique in the fact that its publication has probably done more to expose generations of people in this world to know more about the world that undeniably their impact will be felt long after perhaps even the organization could potentially cease to exist. In order to understand this magazine, we have to understand exactly why it was created. The organization itself was founded in 1888 with a mission to increase and diffuse geographic knowledge to the entire world. On September 22, 1988, the National Geographic organization would decide to print a magazine, and this was sent to 165 charter members of the organization. From those initial 165 members, the magazine presently will reach over 40 million people each month. Now, while the magazine itself was more of like a scientific journal, in 1905, full-page pictures began to appear in the magazine. And as such, by beginning to change the way in which people looked at the magazine, it made it much more adaptable and friendly to non-scientific readers, and thus accessible to all citizens. The most famous cover ever to be found when it comes to the National Geographic magazine, though, was taken in June 1985, which would feature a young girl by the name of Sharbat Gula, who, at the time of the photograph, was only 12 years old, according to local lore. And she would become the face of the magazine for years. In fact, her image is the only one to have received multiple issues as their actual image, 3 in total to date. It would not be until 2002, however, that Gula would be found in Afghanistan. By this point in time, she was married, and her stunning eyes, which had captured the world's imagination, were still stunning even though she was older. In fact, she had no idea whatsoever about the magazine cover or how popular it had become. In the 1990s, the National Geographic magazine would go online and attempt to digitize the entire collection. However, this attempt was halted when the company was sued, as some argued that this would go ahead and prevent collectors from being able to have a complete collection of the National Geographic magazine. The magazine argued that while collectors could still have a hard copy, this would allow people who could not get older issues to have an opportunity to access it. And as such, the magazine would win its case, and all of its issues were able to be placed online. Now, the magazine is a rather unique one, as it is made up of a few notable pieces. The most obvious one, of course, is the articles, which is that the articles always seem to be able to remain politically neutral. During the Cold War, instead of focusing on politics, anytime the National Geographic magazine went into an area where potential political controversy could occur, they would instead focus on history, culture, and the countries themselves. Following the Cold War, the magazine began to focus their attention and energies onto environmental issues, agriculture, and archaeology. Now, initially, articles were extremely long. However, with successive years and generations, the articles have become far more manageable and much shorter, allowing for people to go ahead and get the information that they wanted to read and then move on to a new article. When photography was introduced in 1905, the images would become a major staple to the magazine. And while there was a great deal of criticism for the use of images, by 1910, it was the one thing everyone actually looked forward to. And in 1930, the magazine would begin to publish color pictures instead of black and white. One of the things that has remained absolutely steadfast through the publication of the magazine is the fact that any image that must be taken must be held to the highest artistic standards possible to ensure that these images will show the grand beauty of nature, but also convey the messages that the articles are trying to go ahead and present to readers. One unique feature, though, to National Geographic magazine is its maps, as maps were added into the magazine starting with the First World War. In 1918, readers would be given an opportunity to see exactly what the Western theater of the war looked like in relation to all the places on a map that it could be found. Now, the maps proved to be so detailed, though, that militaries and governments would not use their own national maps, but rather the maps from National Geographic. Winston Churchill was said to have taken the European map that was printed by the magazine to the Yalta Conference, and, pinning it up on the wall, would use it to help determine exactly how Nazi Germany would be divided amongst the Allies at the Yalta Conference. And so, the National Geographic magazine does remain a rather important part of our daily society. And while some people might say print media is dead, the magazine's ability to see ahead and place their magazine into a digital format will therefore ensure that for generations to come, people who want to learn more about the world in all of its splendor, be it from nature to archaeology to history, whatever it may be, can do so at least in one particular location. For more information, please consider these suggested titles. Be sure to click on the left-hand side of the screen to subscribe to our show, and on the right-hand side for our latest episode. And we will see you again for the next episode of Milling Through History.